Any inquiry on the assignment?
Good morning, Doctor.
Yes.
My name is Dian Shazni. I would like to ask regarding the report. Only project background required, or we need to explain the resource, the like.
Okay. For your project, you need to explain the background, okay, of the project location and what the project is all about. And then you need to explain the work breakdown structure, like what is in every layer. I mean, like you need to describe the work. Like for example, structural work, you describe what is in the structural work, and then you put down the work breakdown format. You must get the work breakdown all clear up first. And then after that, you can mention what resources are you considering. For example, materials, for example, machineries, for example, manpower. So these three things just describe what are you considering within that material. You've got like concrete, grade, whatever, to what kind of standard, etc. Machineries, what sort of machineries you want to put the pictures of the machineries is also fine. Manpower, what sort of manpower, what type of manpower. I mean, like this is just going to be like 1 or 2 page kind of thing, you know. So, and then after that, just about a page now, a page or so, a page or two, just to describe the manpower. Then after that, you will go straight to present how you obtain your duration. You know, you can give an example of how you obtain your duration. And then after that, straight away, you can show us the Gantt chart, like how you dig the Gantt chart, explain how you do the Gantt chart, and then show us the Gantt chart, and then explain about this CPM, and then what then you draw your layer 1, and then explain how you arrive at the final critical path and the whole analysis. Yeah. So, and then just you must have a conclusion. If you have a background, you must have a conclusion. The conclusion is basically how much in terms of can you hold on a second? Okay, sorry, I've got some noises here. Okay, then yeah, you got a conclusion, meaning that what did you get out of the Gantt chart, what did you get out of the CPM, and what is the difference between them maybe, and how different are the results from the CPM and compared to the Gantt chart, and then what is CPM good for, what is Gantt chart good for, and things like that. Like, you need to just to conclude it, I mean, I find that all UNIMA students across the board, including those doing IDP, previous years, many years back until now, everybody is very bad at writing conclusion. You've got like 150 pages report, but the conclusion is only like 1 paragraph, I really don't know what you guys are trying to do. Sometimes it's like the most important thing about a report is basically the starting and and the conclusion. I mean, if I don't read anything, I will mark you based on introduction and conclusion. And then if your conclusion doesn't tell me anything, basically I just feel like you don't do anything, you see. So conclusion is always so important, especially even in IDP, in any of the report that you ever write, conclusion is like a very quick way of telling people what you found out and why it is so important, and then all your findings must be there, to show them that, you've done immensely a lot of work, you see. So that would be the structure of the report, I would say. I mean, I'm not expecting you to sort of like do me a resources list, and do resources loading, leveling, and all that. No. Previous years, I've set out assignments that is something along that line, but not this one. Yeah. This one is just basically, you just list down the resources that you have, and then I assume that these are the resources that you're using to complete this project within this period of time. Okay.
Okay, clear, Doctor. Is there any limit on the pages of the report?
I always have to give minimum. A report like this cannot be less than 5 page, I would think, yeah. So
Okay.
anything between an 8 page to a 20 page, I think will be enough to cover everything. In between, anything in between this, but if you even go over 21 page or 25 page, I will still mark your report. I don't usually penalize people for having long reports. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Normally, I requested for 1.5 spacing, font 12. So justify, label your figure, label your table properly. Table should be the labeling should be on top. Table something something. And then if the table runs into the next page, try to cut it off and put table, whatever, bracket, continue, and then figure, basically, we like to see the figure after you mention the figure. So don't put like, this page, the figure is in paragraph 1. You write figure 1 is about this. And then 2 pages down the track, you see the figure. We don't like that. So basically, figure, you talk about the figure, you see the following figure, we must see the figure right away. Yeah. That's how you should be doing the paragraphing of things. Yeah. Don't just like figure something like figure this, figure this, figure this, and then the figure is like 2 page, 3 page, 4 page at the back. You see? So yeah. If you have a lot of repetitive data, like let's say if you set up an Excel worksheet, you set up an Excel worksheet and the worksheet is very, very long, like 2-3 pages long of how you did the analysis, that one you are allowed to put it at the appendix. Appendix don't count mark. If you put everything in the appendix, if some people like to put everything in the appendix, I don't know for what reason, but for me, appendix is 0 marks. There is nothing in the rubrics, nothing in my book that marks appendix, Appendix is just repetitive information, information that you've already explained, that you've already shown. Maybe you've shown part of the table, one section of the table to explain how you get these numbers and how you get these figures. And then the rest, if it's 2-3 pages long, we put it more than 3 pages long, 2.5 to 3 pages long onwards. We will usually put everything in the appendix. And that is already being shown in the report. We do not want then I don't mark, I don't know about other lecturers' practice, but you're not supposed to mark appendix, Appendix is for nothing, Appendix is just basically a supportive information, the information that you repeat, you see. So the main information should be in the report, and appendix is just something that you did, and then it's so repetitive, you cannot show it in the report. Because there's no marks, You put your Gantt chart in the appendix, I'm not going to give you marks, That is how I mark, you see. If you put CPM diagram in the appendix, I'm not going to give you marks, you see. I will assume that I didn't see it because I don't see it in the main report. You say, oh, doctor, I put it in the appendix. So appendix no marks, yeah. So you yourself want to throw away marks, then I will just have to, go along with you, isn't it? So please be careful with appendix. There's something that maybe it's never been taught to you before. And I see that a lot in assignment from my students previously, and I'm just a bit shocked. So I thought, maybe we should talk about this. Yeah. IDP as well. It's just that you run, if you run 50 pages of analysis, all the data that you're running and running, those you put it in the appendix, you see. But then the actual calculation, the showing of the calculation, like the calculation, hand calculate or a sample Excel worksheet that you did, those must be in the main report. And then if the data that you generate from the Excel worksheet that you do, and it's like 30 pages, 40 pages, that one you put, yeah. Okay. So besides report format, anything else that you guys want me, anybody want to show me their work, like their work breakdown or your way of doing the Gantt chart? It's due in about 13 days, yeah. Are you sure this time we are not having any sand break?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Yeah, so basically I've also arranged, since there's no sand break, I will arrange on the 30th a talk by IR William Tang, a very experienced consulting engineer. I'm getting him to come and talk about the industry experience when it comes to budgeting, you know, what can go wrong when you do budgeting, and then what is why is BQ so important, you know, and what are the things that you shouldn't be doing when you come to doing a BQ. So these are all related to cost management, which we will be embarking on to, I think, either today or next Tuesday. Anything else that you all want me to talk about in terms of assignments? If not, then we will quickly do our class, okay? And let's finish before 11:30. Last call for assignments. Anybody wants to show me the assignments, or you haven't even get started yet? Remember how on the 7th of December, you all have a test, huh? And the test will be up to cost management, will be up to cost management. So wherever we stop next week will be in the test, okay? Okay, looks like you all are so clever, so no need me to talk about assignment anymore. Okay. Let's open a notes. The other day, for the talk, the BM talk, I kind of realized that you need to pay $50. So no, so I didn't want you guys to just spend your money that way. So yeah, there's no point, yeah, because you're not collecting CPD point or anything like that. So I've actually sent Anna the link to my talk, and then you guys can just listen to it at your own leisure. If you don't listen to it, it's fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. It's just that since I've done it, I might as well share it with the whole gang of you, yeah. Okay, the notes for this week, basically, I've already posted online, okay? This week here, we've got number one, it's all in PDF, I believe, okay? We've got our slides in, I've converted that to PDF because it's actually better. Yeah, to show all the things, you know, the other day we've got things missing, you see. So this set of notes basically talks about the importance of doing TF and FF, free float and total float. So in terms of schedule compression, you'll be looking very closely at total float. And then for activity crashing and tracking, so you see, it's only when you crash those activities that are on the critical path, it means something. Crashing basically is also related to resources, because if you don't, you need to know where to put your resources in so that you can crash it. If you have 10 men working and 15 men working, you want to put that 5 men in some way that is meaningful. You see, you're paying extra to get extra workers. So we do not want to put them in the wrong area that actually doesn't make any difference to the schedule. Okay, and then that is talking about schedule compression, and we're playing with total float. And then when we use free float, free flow is a very good technique for us to use when it comes to problems, when you have problems with resources, when there's limited resources, or when you're not given enough resources, or when you have to do multiple projects, okay? So when you do multiple projects, sometimes you want to purposely delay some activities so that you can send your machineries or your manpower to another site, you see, so that they can work over there over a certain period of time and then bring them back again here. You see, so you need to know exactly how long they can leave your site or how long they can slow down certain works. And that is the use of free flow, okay? And it has everything to do with resources. It's always about shortage. It's always about not only manpower, but basically resources shortages, okay? And there are many situations of resources shortages. It's like workers sometimes don't come to work. That is one thing. Very accidental, very sudden kind of thing is also one reason you have a shortage of workers. And then that, like, if there's really a shortage of workers or shortage of machineries or very bad weather issues, or, you know, issues like, say, dealing with floodings, those unexpected environmental issues, or some problems with other authorities, like not being able to get wayleaves. Wayleaves means that, let's say, if I want to build along this road, for example, I need to get permit from the police, and that permit is actually wayleave, and I need to get permit from JKR. That is also wayleave. Wayleave is just way of leave, it's like way, WAYLEAVE, leave, It's like you're asking for permission to actually work on somebody's road. You see, the road belongs to JKR, it's under the maintenance of JKR, or it's under the maintenance of council, and why do you want to go to police? Because if you're causing a traffic jam and if you're going to create a problem, you're going to be digging the road. It's actually public property, so if you don't get the wayleave, you're actually destroying, vandalizing public property, sort of thing, you see. So we need to get wayleave for that reasons, yes. And sometimes the wayleave can come late, you see, and authority, sometimes other authority may be pretty inefficient, or you're dealing with JBUB or dealing with water board, and they need to go and talk to police, they need to talk to Bomba, or they need to talk to councils and JKR or whatever. Then we have these issues of authorities trying to communicate with authorities, and then they are actually a bit slow and ding-donging around, and you got some resources problem at the end of the day. So those sort of delays can happen. But then it's not for you to be stressed out. If there's a delay happens on items that are on the free float, that has free float, even if it is delayed, you are aware that, you should not get yourself all upset and should not go around scolding people and should not go around putting WhatsApp messages, trying to get your contractor to work on this and that, and trying to get them to repair their schedule, and do all sorts of silly, stupid things, that is unnecessary, and that makes yourself look like an idiot, that should not be the case. I mean, we've got a lot of young engineers who doesn't know what's going on. They bug the contractors, they give awful messages, and saying that, you have to hurry up, you delay your work, you don't have enough people here, and show me your new schedule, show me your latest plan value, and show me your latest actual value, blah, 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 blah. And this is the kind of engineers I would like to pick up my phone, and start to, I mean, I'm old enough to do that, so I can pick up my phone and say, look, stop being the idiot, it's like, if you want me to start to do all this paperwork for you, when it doesn't mean anything, I would rather use my time trying to bring back, like get my workers back, or get my coordination with authority up first, or bring in more resources, whatever, just physical work is more important if I do run into a delay, see. So I think it makes sense, you see. So these are the things that we can actually use. If you understand your CPM, if you understand your schedule, you are in a better position to manage your project. That's for sure, isn't it? And we do not want you to put your attention in the wrong places, in the places that doesn't make any logical sense for you to be upset about, you see. And of course, when there is a delay, if whichever activity, whether there is free flow, there's no free flow, it is an alert sign. It is something that you should be alert of, you know. It is something that you should be worried about, but do not be overdoing it in the wrong areas. That's what I'm trying to say, yeah? And then we also show you like how to keep optimum resources on site, because we do not want to bring in people, set people, bring in people, set people, you know, all along. I mean, you do not want to change your resources every month, you see. And that for human being is actually morale. For machineries, they don't have morale, but they have what we call a driver. And when they are committed to another site, people like to have continuous job, you see. When they don't have continuous job, they will seek for people who can give them continuous job. And if you come ask them to come for 1 month, and the next month you say no need to come, and then on the third month you want them to come back, they may be very unwilling because your job is not consistent, you see. So what we want is basically some form of consistency, some form of optimization, some form of, you know, make your schedule work properly. That number of people needs to be there. So we have this technique of resources leveling, and this is whereby, you know, this is whereby you actually look at your convert. You know, the first step is to do your CPM, know your free flow, know your total flow, go back to your original schedule, mark down all your, you see, these are the free flow, total flow, and then after mark down all your critical path, and the dotted line is your free flow. And then with this, you can actually play with your numbers. You key in your numbers, the workers here. The other day I couldn't show this because it was missing. So you can key it in. 2 means 2. You see, 2, 2, 2. Every month, 2. Activity A, if you do it over 2 weeks, is actually 2, 2. You cannot have 1, 1. You know, you don't divide by the time. Because if we have 2 and then this is 5 weeks, then are you going to have like 0. You know, 0. What? 0.3 or something, you know, per day, per week or per day. This is days here, or you stroke weeks long if you want. So workers, machineries, they are not going to go by half or 1 quarter or whatever. There will be full amount that you put down here that will be applicable every day or every month, okay? Then you add it up, and then you pick the number. You can do the shortage surplus exercise here. This is very important for those who are very, very mathematical orientated. So, you know, probability, what you choose to put and what it needs. Is there any plus or minus? And then after that, if the plus and minus, if you pick a number to level, and that bottom plus and minus can cancel each other out, that will probably be a pretty good number to use, okay? If you are a bit more conservative, you probably put more plus at the end of the day. If you are a bit more risky, you know, you're a bit more daring, if you have a bit of shortage, you're actually quite okay with that. So, you know, you will find ways to make it up later. So that would be what some people's attitude will be like. I mean, I cannot control that. So what we need to do is to check which of the level is the best, okay? That is what I call level. You just imagine a grass cutter cutting through your grass, and at the end of the day, your garden will be flat. That is how it looks like, okay? And then we also have some rules and don'ts that you don't do for resources leveling. And then we have another examples on resources leveling. You always start with total flow, free flow, and then from there, mark down into your schedule. And then from there, do your calculation again, you know. And for this particular example, we also show you how to do resources smoothing. Resources smoothing is basically trying to go by a curve of resources instead of one flat line of resources. So curve means that you pick up as you go along, you know, and then you have to pick, you know, you do not want to have pick and throw, try to avoid this, and then preferably a nice progression kind of thing, you know, ascensions, and then hold. Remember the formula I told you, come, hold, bye, you know, and we try to go that way. That would be better. So this is what we call resources smoothing. And resources smoothing techniques is basically you try to put your resources in, and then you start to shift. You start to shift, do the numbers, shift, do the numbers, shift, do the numbers until you get that graph that you are happy with, okay? Especially in the center, we do want to have a long run of hold, yeah, and then slowly go down, and then up, hold, down, okay? These are the only techniques that you need to hear is try and arrow, basically, okay? Shift, 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 shift here, shift there, shift here, shift there, shift, but you only need to shift with those that has free float, you see? So you shift to a point that you get an even number on top here, yeah? So you shift, yeah, you can shift left, you know, and then you get this 99999. If you're happy with this 9999, that's all. I mean, this is you're done, you know. And then if as long as there's no more pick and throw, okay, pick and throw, okay, and this is all going up, hold for pretty few days, and then down. So again, there's something here that is problematic. There's another throw here. Then you may want to reshift again, you know, and then you reshift again and say, you see, now I've got this hold, and then down, you know, and this is a nice, beautiful curve. Yeah. So you want this sort of curve. Yeah. So this is resources leveling and resources smoothing. So we've got this set of notes, okay, that up to here is about resources. So again, we also have another example that I have shown you. This is purely resources smoothing. Remember I told you that I have some missing pages on page 75, I think. 734. So yeah, 734, and I have 75 missing. I don't know why, you know, I have no idea what happened, you know. But I don't have the book with me at home, and I'm not going to the office. So I would rather make this an exercise for you all. Can you all try this out and try to do your own smoothing curve? Yeah. Can you try this? And that means I have no final answers for this one, and there shouldn't be any final answers because different project manager have different kind of risk-taking attitude. You may want to do different things, you see. Here we basically, again, you know, you do your CPM, go and do your CPM, practice your CPM, okay, with this thing, practice your CPM, draw your network, do your forward pass, do your backward pass, and then after that, get your total float, get your free float, put in where the answers is here, critical activity, non-critical activities, and with the free float all key in, well, this is what you should be getting. This is a fixed thing up until now. And then after that, you key in all your resources. This is the part that you need to learn. So you key in all your resources. Activity A, you've got 2. Activity B, you've got 4. So you put your 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then you put your 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, and then you do your adding up. You know, you do your adding up and see if you get this curve. And then from this curve, you can try resources leveling if you want to. If you don't want, I mean, you should, you know, and then you can try resources smoothing as well. So how? You can just shift this here, shift this here. There's only 2 things to shift. So you can shift it halfway and see how you go. Shift this over to see how you go. Shift this over to see how you go. And then see if you do have that up, hold, down, kind of balance, okay? And basically, this is how your resources histogram at the moment look like. You see, if you're happy with that kind of look, it's also fine. But I think the pick is too short. I don't like this. You know, I would probably do some leveling if it's a very simple activity. But I would probably do, I mean, like if you want, you can do resources smoothing, meaning that some of this will probably be shifted over and you've got a lower number. You do not want to have such a high number for so long as well. You know why? Because you're wasting your free floats. You see, you're wasting your free float. You're bringing in such a big number in the beginning, you know. It is just a bit pointless. You're paying a lot of money for the workers who are not doing very important activities right at the beginning of the job. See, so then you try to move them in slowly. You know, I wouldn't think this is a good smoothing. This is not a good smoothing. This is definitely not a smoothing. It's just a plot of the resources. So either you level or you smooth. So this is another example that I have. So here, these notes, you've got 2 examples, okay? 2 examples that you can both level and smooth. These notes, you've got another example that you can level and smooth. Again, there is 3 practices here for you to do your AON, for you to do your forward pass, for you to do your backward pass. Practice and practice and practice, okay? This needs to be practiced. Get down with it, okay? Go over the weekend, spend a few hours on it, get all the examples out, because most questions will look like this anyway. If you don't practice enough, you are just going to get issues later of not being able to quickly finish your exams and all that. Because suddenly during exams, you're learning how to do this, see? And that's the attitude a lot of people who actually take up this course and they feel like that, this is an open book exam, this is a take-home exam over 5 hours, over 4 hours. And they feel like they have ample time trying to answer the questions, and then they couldn't manage, they couldn't manage finishing it because it took them too long to go and study, the answers, and they couldn't do it. Yeah, not enough time. So this is another example, and then do I have another example? See, I actually do have another example. Okay, this is the AOA examples that I've shown you. This is the last week's notes. At the back here, you see, I have another example. So these particular examples, we actually have our schedule. We draw in those schedules. And these are, because I didn't actually have colored lines or anything like that, this is actually during my working time that I did, when I was an engineer. So what I have is I just kind of like mark this in, and then there was a time, this is the part that you need to know where are your critical path. So I did this line, this arrow line thing, and then those dotted line are the one that I put in for free float, and the critical ones I actually put in with the major, with this solid lines kind of thing. Doesn't matter, you just have to put it in. You can use color code, you can use dotted lines, you can use like my kind of like arrow lines if you want. Then we have resources. So these are the persons, these are the resources that I need. Okay, and of course, I don't think temp fabrication, one person is enough. Yeah, this is actually done. What I mean by temp fabrication, one person is actually on-site one person, but temp fabrication is actually done off-site, you see, off-site in the factory. So this is probably a supervisor level to supervise and go and check on the fabrication thing going on, you see, at the workshop. And then we have our schedule. Then you need to put in your 111, your 444, your 333, all your numbers that you need to load it out. We call it loading, resources loading. This is another term that you will see a lot when it comes to resources, leveling and smoothing. You must load it up first. So when you load up all your resources, okay, then you add it up, and then you do your histogram. So here you have to do your histogram from this, and then do your leveling. Yeah, do your leveling or smoothing. Yep, this is another example. So I've got like 4 examples here on leveling and smoothing that you can get your hands and try out on. And this bit is money, and this bit will be related to cost management later. Okay, so I will explain a little bit to you first, but I'll come back to it later on. When it comes to money, you cannot just load it up as every month the same. Money is total that will be used over the next few weeks or months. Okay, so if I have 10 structure fabrication, basically I would have 15,000 cash. I can split up into 555, meaning that I pay my factory 5K, 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 or I can have like 0, 5, 10 if I want to. It's really pretty much up to your own planning of how the money will be spent over that period of time. So your loading is basically is basically done based on the time and the total and how you split. You can split it equally, you can split it more in front. A lot of pumps, pipes, and all this material related things, if it's more workmanship heavy sort of things, money will usually be spent at the back. If it's more on the material related thing, the price of that item is more material related, then usually we will have more in the front few days or front few months, and then less in the back few months. Okay, so that will be how we do our spreading. And then we also add it up based on month by month, and that will show you the cash flow. This is how the money will be looking, how much you're looking to spend. If this number here is about expenditure, okay? If this number here is about expenditure and how much you will be spending, then this is going to be an expenditure curve. If this is going to be money that this is a contractual sum, okay, if this is a contractual sum that you are spreading over, so this will be the contract financial S-curve that we are looking at, okay, and that will be what we call plan value, yeah, and these are the values that you'll be telling your client that you will be claiming that this is the money that they have to spend at the end of the day, okay, to finish this contract to pay you as a contractor. So we call this word eventually, if this is the contract sum, it will be eventually translated into what we call two things. Number one, it will be called the S-curve, okay? So what we call financial S-curve. And this financial S-curve has what we call a PV value, a plan value, budgeted cost of the work schedule, okay? And then when you then you have how much you actually use, you see, and that will be the actual cost, what we call the actual cost of the work performed, okay, and budgeted cost of the work performed. So these are the few things that you'll be learning later on next week in what we call EV technique. This is going to be a combination of controlling tools to check your S-curve is usually some form of presentation, but EV technique is actually based on the technique of doing an S-curve. This is actually what we'll be doing for the S-curve. These are the front. Since we're on resources loading, money is also a resources. So that's why I put it in the same slide. So you've got this loading, and then from this you add it up, and then you do a cumulative, and then you actually flow it, like you draw that curve in Excel, or you draw that curve in whatever softwares that you have, then that will be what we call an S-curve. And the first curve that you draw, if this is the contract value, it will be what we call a plan value, budgeted cost of the work schedule, PV, okay? Later on, we will learn about PV and then how to check it against EV and check it against CAC, actual cost of the work performed, and budgeted cost of the work performed. And this will be one of the most important controlling tools that you will ever learn in project management, okay? And again, this is, like I say, 1, 2, 3, 4 examples for you to play with resources leveling and resources loading, yeah? Any questions so far for resources loading, leveling, and smoothing? No questions? Very happy? All understand? Any questions on previous lecture on forward pass, backward pass, quarter flow, free flow? Have everybody tried that one out? Okay. Wilson is fine, okay? Everybody is fine. Some people are fine, okay? No questions? Anything on the chat box? Let me have a look. Okay, nothing on the chat box, okay? So you're all good? Okay, right. So they're spending a lot of time on this because it is a very difficult topic in a way. It's not easy. This is really very hardcore project management. Yeah. And then I will talk a little bit about multiple project. Okay, multiple project means that at the one time you've got different projects going on. Yeah, you've got like project A, you've got project B, you've got project C. Let's say you've got 3 projects going on, and you basically have certain level of resources for each and every one of the project. Normally, it will be a bit mean to have one set of resources for 3 projects or 2 projects, you know. If you do have that, I honestly tell you, your boss is trying to sack you, you know, and just find a nice way of not giving you enough so that one day you'll be so stressed out that you will just quit yourself, you see. That shouldn't be the case. Every project, we would actually have some allocation of resources to that particular project for you to do your work. There will be time whereby in every site that you manage, I'll give you an example. Currently, I've got 2, not really, I've got 2 projects. I mean, I'm helping out, you know, some people are asking me for advice, okay? For certain, can you hold on? Sorry, it's not my phone. It's not my phone, okay? I promise it's not my phone. Okay, right. I've got, you know, few projects going on along the Cam Borneo Highway. So I've got different stretches of projects going on. I mean, this is not my project basically. It's somebody asking me for advice because they are running into some delays, you know, and then they're asking how I can help to, you know, elevate. And actually basically it's that communication with different group of people that is making a lot of problems, you know, in terms of the contract that is, you know, the contract is this time, and then they want the job to be faster, you know. And we do have issues like this where I have got, maybe let's say I've got like one stretch up in the Miri area, one stretch down in the Bintilu area. So basically it's about, that is a work of 2 projects, you see. And because of election coming out, I have people, you know, some people who would like to go and visit the project and put it in the newspaper for some publicity reason for how well Sarawak has done, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know. So, I mean, we engineers get this sort of crappy, you know, like people just don't leave us alone, you know, to do our work, you see. So, well, unfortunately, that is part of our life, you know, especially every 5 years or every 4.5 years or 4 years when we have elections. So you've got all these funny people who always show up and say that, you know, we need to have this faster, we need to do this faster, we need to cut down on this time. So these 2 projects, actually, one of them has going to be having visitors very soon. And the whole project management team wants the whole thing to be completed, you know, like 3 months worth of job to be completed in about 2 weeks. I mean, I would like to call that person up and say that, you know, why don't you just, you know, undo the contract, get somebody else to do it. I mean, if the minister says that tomorrow I want to, you know, I want to see, you know, like Sarawak is so great that we're going to launch a rocket to the moon, then why don't you just build them a rocket launching pad, you see, tomorrow? That is as well as doing that. You know, every project activities do need time. You know, you cannot be ridiculous in that way. You know, what I do not understand. Sometimes I get very, very annoyed with engineers who are just so client driven to a point that they do not realize that this is not Harry Potter magic, you know, like I can just wave a abracadabra, you know, and get my pipe all laid, you know, and my water all run, you know. Even if I want to get my pipe all laid, I need time to flush my pipe. I need time to clean up the water. I need time to do chlorination. I need time to send it the sample to the lab and do testing, you know. E. coli test needs to put that water over certain period of time for the bacteria to grow, for them to have enough of bacteria to say that whether this is enough or not enough, you know, what is too much of bacteria or not enough, sorry, there's not enough. Like E. coli, you're not supposed to have enough, So how can you do that, you see? So I mean, the flushing chlorine needs time to be flushed, you see? A lot of things need time, and this is all being planned. And then we've got these issues of trying to accommodate, we are trying to help for sure. We also want the project to be completed, but 2 weeks is too much. Let's say, let's negotiate for 2 months, 3 months work. We cut it down to 2 months, So suddenly I've got these two projects. One has an urgent need of resources. Another one basically is not having that issue. So I may want to transfer some of my men, because if I do water pipeline, these people are specialties people, they are not any Abu Abang Ali that you can pick up on the street and say, hey, bro, you want to come and work for me, You can't, these are really well-trained people. They have men layers license, and they have workers who has been working with them for over a period of time. And you need to shift these people around. So when we come to multiple projects, like I say, the example I'm trying to tell you here is every project do have their own allocation of resources, okay? But in the event of something silly happen, or something really urgent happen, or something that is having some necessity to bring in more resources from another project, under you as a project manager, you probably should learn how to shift your resources. So, but how do you shift if the work over on the Bintulu side is actually not urgent, and especially when you take the schedule with all the free flow all drawn into both schedule, what you need to do is over that period of time, that period of time whereby there's an urgent need of resources, you basically crop it up. So I crop up my 3 months worth of work during this month until December, or October until December. My work of that 3 months, I crop it up, and I make sure that I check all my free float, I check all my total float, and all colored in. And then I will also take the same 3 months in my MIRI site, okay, and put in all my free float and all my total float. And then I will try to merge these two schedules, like overlap these two schedules, to see if there's any overlapping time, especially for my Bintulu side, whether I have anything that I can, the free float that overlap into the MIRI side, and see if I can shift some of my resources or my 1 or 2 team of people from Bintulu side over to the MIRI side, okay? And then that means my Bintulu side will have less people working. And is it okay to have less people working that way? So if there's less people working over there, and they will run into a delay, but are they in their free float time? If they are in their free float time, let my Bintulu side to be kosong lah, floating lah, nobody working lah, no choice. So I shift these people over to my MIRI side over that 1 month, so that I can actually have more resources, more machineries, more labor, more specialties people working in the MIRI side. I've got team A and team B now, I've got team C and team D, and they are rescue from Bintulu team coming over. So this is how I merge my two projects. That is what I call multiple project planning. And this is again going back to the free float, going back to the total float, checking the total float. If there's any activity that is on the total float for the Bintulu side that is so happens to be in that particular month that I crop, I should be very, very careful in shifting resources away from there. Because if I shift it away from there, I have a good chance that I may have Bintulu side being delayed later on in the project. And because this is two separate projects, I may get either penalty. It doesn't matter that you have made the minister here in MIRI side very happy. You've made the authority here very, very happy by showing off the beautiful site. But later on, they will come back and bite you and say that you're Bintulu side, It's a different authority, it's a different group of people managing. Then they say that, okay, you are running a delay and I need to penalize you. No one is going to have a pity on you and say that because you've shifted your resources, that you've worked so hard to shift your resources to another site, that they are thanking you for it. This is a cruel world. Construction is a cruel world, and you've got a lot of cruel people, honestly, that sometimes don't make logical sense in that way. Okay. And in between all this, you also need to be able to talk to people nicely, try to get people to work with you nicely, and try to make sure that, when you do this shifting and all that, it's not so simple, Even if your schedule tells you that, yes, I can do shifting, yes, I can do shifting, yes, it is allowed and all that, but you still need to talk to the Bintulu team, you see. And this Bintulu team may not be willing, you see, to do this, you see. They may not be willing to leave their side and move on to the other side, just like that at your back and forth. A lot of these things have to be a lot of this relationship dealing with this um 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 nice way of talking, a lot of smoothing out, a lot of this gentle, hard, reward. So there's people management involved when we have problems like this. And I can tell you honestly, 90% of time is about people. It's about people willing to work for you. It's about people willing to go with your schedule, So don't be such a hard ass, trying to tell people that, I tell you this, I'm the project manager, I have my schedule, you follow, that kind of thing. When you try, especially if you're also on the client end, you may need to be nice to people as well, talk nicely, be able to use your soft skills, your soft way of talking, or you're not, sometimes you have to be a bit hard, sometimes you have to be soft. So your soft and hard all pressed together, to try to get people to work for you in a very happy, willing manner, as a team. This is something that honestly, I cannot teach you. I cannot teach you, and I can only say that it takes a lot of people relationship, human relations skills, and being an engineer, that is pretty much quite something that some people have it, some people don't have it. I've got people to talk like in, hard ass, and then you want to slap their faces the first moment they open their mouth, and you can't get anything done really, at the end of the day, people will just ignore you, see? And that some people like to go by the very threatening method, if you don't do this, I don't release your payment, like, okay, go ahead, sometimes you think about it, I mean, when you say stupid things like that, you may end up yourself being unraveled in the court case later on by trying to be funny about it, you see. So when people work, you need to pay. You cannot say that, because they don't follow the schedule that you want, you don't want to pay them, you see. That is not the beginning of the contract. That was not the original contract. I mean, there's a lot of room for legal dispute later on, and you may be embroiled in that legal dispute because of the stupid things that you say, like terminate you, I don't want to pay you, I will hold your payment, that kind of thing, Be very careful. Like I say, like what Bambi's mother always says, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't open your mouth, ladies and gentlemen. That should be the principle that you should hold on to. So always try to be, you can have your own thoughts, you can know what your own plan is, but don't have to go around threatening people, don't have to go around trying to use contract, trying to throw out things. We do want to have a very nice, smooth environment to work in, especially for construction. And you want your contractor to be happy, you want your consultant to be happy, you want your client to be happy. Everybody is happy working in a very nice environment. That to be the aim. I always go for that win-win situation, make sure that everybody's win, be reasonable, be very fair, as engineers, our job is to be ethically, we have to be very fair to everything, everybody, we have to look at the matter in hand, not your emotion, And these are the things that I really cannot teach you much. But like I said, since we're talking about multiple projects, and yeah, I mean, I will just bring it up because multiple projects does involve multiple projects is because of resources constraint. And again, there will be situation where one side is really probably having some form of delays. This is not about certain thing happen that makes you need to crash your schedule, but this is something that really, like, let's say two of my sites, one of them are facing delays. They are facing issues of having some form of delays, then I want my other team to come in and help. And this again is another reason why you need to handle multiple project resources. But like I said, there will be circumstances, maybe in the first place, there was not enough resources. And there is a situation, again, whereby you have 2 projects, 3 projects, you're not given enough resources. Like I said, number one, probably your boss is trying to be funny with you, by not giving you resources. Like he's giving you 10 cents and expect you to create miracle and make it $5, you know? So there are bosses like that. So we're not talking about that group of people, but we're talking about where that you actually do have projects. And this is a case of maybe overcommitment. Overcommitment meaning that you, at that time, you tender, no job bargain, you know, so you tender, and then pop, you win 3 tenders, you know? And then these 3 tenders, all you have to handle. Suddenly you have not enough resources. We have many cases like that, honestly. Many cases whereby you have a dry period, completely dry, whereby you just want any and every job under the sun. And suddenly we have a flat period whereby you've got so many jobs coming in and you cannot handle it. And this is a part that you do have a certain amount of resources, because in the beginning, when the project is ongoing, maybe you have not been able to get enough resources. So you need to split your team into 3. And then when you split your team into 3 and you have not enough in every team, and this is whereby you need to merge that few months together to see whether there is free flow, and you need to plan for it in terms of the normal resources first, and then after that, purposely delay and using the float time in between. Okay, so these are the techniques that I think you all should. I mean, it takes time, it takes practices, especially multiple projects for you to manage, you see. And like I said, it's about cropping that time. Of course, we do not expect this to go on forever. But if you have few projects going on, you are on the other hand trying to work very hard to get enough of resources to come in to fill up the peak period. You cannot really play with, I'm not asking you to for the entire 12 months, entire 18 months to play with free flow. It is impossible. It is just not possible, because you do have critical path there that really needs that amount of resources available. Okay, so you really cannot, there is no magic. Okay, even though we say that engineering is magic, we create magic, but in terms of time, you don't build Rome in one day. You don't launch rocket into the moon. You don't launch rocket to Mars, in 2 years, in 1 year. It takes 10, 20 years of research and calculation and try and error and so many things that needs time. Time is not magic. If we can do magic with time, then teleporting is already happening. Yeah. So we are not having teleporting happening. But things will happen, but it will take time, And time is not something that you should be risking and compromising with, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So like I said, there's few circumstances that you will probably need to deal with multiple projects. Number one, overcommitment of projects. But that one also, you need to slowly try to find more people, bring in more team, and add it up, like smooth out your resources that way. Then there will be circumstances where it's a very short period of time whereby you do have delays in one side, and then you need to bring in the other side people to actually come in and help. And then, or you have very incidental, very sudden thing that you need to crash the schedule, and therefore you need to have more people. It's not like the schedule is delayed. It's actually not delayed. It's actually on time. It's actually good. Everything is fine and dandy. It's just some people coming in and try to make your life difficult. That is another reason why you may have to do multiple project management. Okay? Any questions so far on this? Okay, so I've got something on the chat here. Okay, you have a question on free flow. We're not how to find it. Oh dear, that means you haven't. Okay, I mean, it is a question, Atma Danish, okay? You are asking the question that we have actually talked about 2 weeks ago, okay? And you need to go back to your recording and your notes to go through while to calculate free float. Not every activity have free float. You need to calculate every activity. Okay, remember I say this free float is, repeat, that means you have not gone through the notes. If you have gone through the notes, you will know that total float calculation is how, free float calculation is how. And I have already done this in the class as well. Okay, it means that you're either not here or not listening. Okay, so if I want to have a free float of this activity 1, 2, I will need to go to the following subsequent activity ES and deduct the EF of my current activity. If I have 2 activities, like I say, if I want to have a total free float for this particular activity, I need to look at a subsequent activity. There's 2 subsequent activity, and if I pick that number for the ES minus of the EF for the activity that I'm looking at. And then I will do it again for the other activity, 0 minus 0. So I need to pick the answer. I need to pick the maximum. Okay. Say I've got this. I want a free float for this. I want to calculate the free float for this. There will be activity that has no free float. And normally those activities that has no free float, you will realize that the total float will also be 0. And that is usually on the critical path. It may not be always the case, but there is a good chance that that particular activity is also total float. If especially TF and FFO 0, those are pretty much it is on the critical path. Okay. If I want to know the free float for this particular activity, then I need to look at the subsequent activity, which is these 2 subsequent. Okay. And then I need to take, this is my EF for this activity. So I need to take the subsequent ES, which is a 7, minus 4. I put it aside, is 3. Okay, and then I look at the other activity. If I've got 3 or 4 or 5, I need to take each and every one of the EF. So the formula is the EF of the subsequent activity minus the ES of the current activity which you are looking for. Okay, so if this is what I call A, so if I want to find the FFA is equal to the max of all the subsequent activity minus the EF of it. This will be A plus 1. Okay. Sorry, this is like a very rough kind of formula making. FFA equals to max of EF, A max of EF next one plus 1. Plus 1 activity is the name of the activity. A plus 1, A plus 1, which is basically what we say is subsequent, wrong spelling, subsequent minus of the ES A. Okay, so you got to do it for every subsequent activity and minus off with the current activity, and then you need to pick the bigger one. So that is free float calculation. Right? Oh, I already punch it in. All right. Okay. Okay. So finish. So you have to go back to your. Okay. Let me open my. Okay, if you look at my course in ELIP, okay, in ELIP, basically we have already gone through notes. Let me open up these notes, then you have a better idea. Okay, this one is about week 3 Tuesday class. Is about work breakdown. Okay, so this is not it. Okay, and then we've got also planning for time, and this is the notes that we are looking at. Can you just mark it down? I mean, guys, you know, you've got to go to your ELIT and download the notes and read the notes and try the examples, you know. I mean, it gets me very worried that you are asking me questions that obviously we have spoken about and obviously is already in the notes. I mean, if you say that you don't, you've already read it, but you still have problem understanding how to do it, that is a different thing, you see. But if you say that you don't know how to do it, you have no idea what is it like and why is every your question is telling me that you haven't even read the note, because you are saying that every activity has free flow. Okay, that is not true. If you have free flow 0, that means there's no free flow. Okay. So you've got your class Tuesday class notes, which is on work breakdown. Okay, and your week 3 Thursday notes, which is on doing a Gantt chart, basically. What is the time planning? Why is it that you need to have time planning? And first thing is about how to, the first type of chart that we have is Gantt chart. And then after that, on Tuesday, following week Tuesday, we actually went on to do how to do the Gantt chart and the duration calculation. So the duration calculation is in these notes here. Tuesday class notes 1, I have a whole stretch of like how to use production rate. So I hope nobody's going to come and say, Dr. Ting, I don't know. Excuse me, what is production rate? I will bang sun, okay? So then after that, after that we did once you know how to do your schedule, so Dr. Lee actually show you how to do a schedule in Microsoft Project, exercise hands-on, and she's got all her notes here. And then we've also show you how, at the beginning, I also started to talk about Gantt chart. CPM. And on Friday, I've got few recordings. And this recording is something that you must listen to. Okay, Akma, one by one, all the recording here, especially recording number 5 on Thursday. Sorry, this is Tuesday. Okay, this is Tuesday. So let me edit. The one that somebody told me that, you know, the recording was actually, the page was actually white. Yeah, so this is the recording. This recording here on recording 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This recording here tells you exactly how to do free float and total float. You want me to open it and show it to you? Okay. Could be number 4. This is the total float. is here, somewhere here, in this 4 and 5. Okay, so you have to check out number 4 and number 5. You all can find your free float. Yeah, good. Okay, so here, confirm. Slide recording number 4, we've got total flow, why we do total flow, how we do total flow, and recording number 5, we've got how to do free flow and why we do have free flow. Okay, so this two recording is very important. I put the word edited here is because the first one that I posted, it was a bit like there was some problem with the screen. So somebody told me, so I reposted it. I reposted this like last week or last week. Okay, last week. Okay, so this is done last week. And then from there, I also have Thursday, I have online face-to-face with you guys. And then this one, there's a tutorial. And this online face-to-face, I actually went through AOA, I think, yeah, AOA and AON. So here we've also, yes, I've gone through AOA, AON with you guys. Where is the example? This class notes one. This is this week's one. There was a one that is on these two notes here. Okay, these two notes here. One is on AON. Inside here, even if you don't listen to the recording, these notes here will tell you how to do free flow as well. Okay, forward pass, backward pass. And then also here, we've got this example, AOA example, this one here. And if you go through the recording, you will also see that we are not recording the one that we do the online face-to-face. Last week, did we actually go through free float? I don't remember actually, yeah. So I think I remember in the class, somebody do ask about free float and we do mention about free float as well, okay, during that time. So never mind, it's okay. It's good that we catch somebody who doesn't know how to do free float still, okay? Where's my e-link? Okay, so yes. Okay, so basically we have week 5, these two notes is two example, one on AOA, one on AON, AOA, and that was matched with especially the AON example was mainly in this recording, and the AOA example on the 10 fabrication, etc., is all in this. So basically, week 5 is mainly on how to analyze CPM, how to do forward pass, how to do backward pass. Yes, I remember now because we were doing forward pass, backward pass. I was asking people on certain questions, and some of you don't know what is subsequent, some of you don't know what is preceding activity. So there was a lot of this. I remember I was calling out some names. I was calling out some people's names, and some people were not there. And that was in this recording. Okay, in this whole class recording. So this week 5 last week, basically we were all concentrating on how to get you to understand how to do forward pass, backward pass, total flow, free flow, and based on AOA example, based on AON example. And there was extra tutorial on AON, and there was an extra bonus AON exercise for you all to do for extra marks. Let's click in and see how many people submitted. 105 people submitted. The assignment is already due. So that means 5 people will not get extra 2 marks, okay? The rest 105 will be getting extra 2 marks. See, so this week was basically let's not open anything, okay. Right. So and then this week I also again to reiterate the examples, to reiterate what we have gone through for the past week 4 and week 5 on how to do a Gantt chart and how to run CPM. I gave you an extra set of notes with extra examples inside there as well. Okay, and this is the notes that we talked about Gantt chart, how to do Gantt chart, and then we go through CPM, what is AON, what is ADM, PDM, which is AOA versus AON. What is dummy activities? And somebody was asking about dummy activities as well. And again, here we do have we don't have dummy activities so much. It's always talking about ADM. So ADM, we have arrow, AOA, which is ADM, arrow diagramming method, arrow. That is where you have your dummy. So you can go through these notes as well. This is supplementary. This is like, I'm not getting you all to go and buy textbook. I'm giving you extra notes for you to study so that you have textbook. This is like a textbook, okay? And then ADM example, how to do ADM, forward pass, backward pass, total float, okay? And when you do total float, there should be, you can also write your free float FF here, okay? Second example, critical path. This one, they don't really do, this one, there's not much of free float. Yeah, there's basically they stop at total float, okay? So again, there's not much of free float example. And then this is PDM example, which is AON node. So when you see, these are usually what we do with AON. We have all these nice little sectioning and all that. Okay. So example 2, example 3, PDM. So we got 3 example ADM, 3 example PDM, which is AOA and AON. I know you all probably feel like all this tongue twister on AON, AOA, PDM, ADM, sorry, but this is part of life, this is part of project management. You've got to know these terms. So again, this here, I've got an extra sets of notes here that will actually help you to understand more and try out your FF. We can always come back to it again. Remember, I say this FF is basically, you need to look at, you just have to assume that every activity needs to calculate FF. Then you must, okay? It's fine to stop at total float, but FF comes when it deals with resources. If you don't know your FF, you cannot do resources leveling, you cannot do resources smoothing. It's only with FF you can. Total float is more on schedule, crashing, and compression, which we have gone through with this week 6 notes, class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 1 is resources leveling, smoothing. Class 6 note 2 is on resources smoothing, the one that I show you, but it's not finished, the example, and I want you to try out to do your smoothing yourself. And then class 3 is about, supposedly what I want to cover today is on this project control, okay? So basically, after you have done all your necessities, of resources, time, you see how powerful time is? Time is such an important technique that you need to grasp, because it comes with it. You are learning your work breakdown, you're learning doing Gantt chart, you're learning CPM, you're learning from CPM, total float, free float, for what purpose, activity crashing, and then from there you need to go back to resources to do resources smoothing, resources leveling, and then also management of multiple projects. When you know how to do your free float, smoothing, and leveling. You see, so this one here will actually encourage you to manage your project in a better way. So can you please record this formula down in case it wasn't recorded properly? Okay. So yeah, all right, it's okay, Danish. So go and have a look at recording 5. Okay. So you did miss out on recording 5. Okay. So it's okay. All right. But I am worried if you're asking me questions that I thought that you didn't understand. I mean, I thought that you didn't read first before you ask the question. Then we have what we call project monitoring and time monitoring. And this is basically, we will talk about this a bit more, and it was also in this slide. Okay, the back of this slide here, our project schedule. These are how these notes here is overall project monitoring and project control. And here in page 82, I have what we call, monitoring your schedule. Basically, what you're preparing is a baseline. BS is the baseline. So with this baseline, you are going to monitor your time performance by what we call tracking Gantt. Tracking Gantt is you have a baseline, then what is actually happening. Yeah, when this is happening and say this project is not completed, that means you are going to run into delays. So these are the remaining duration. That is, say, you have another color code or another something chart that you put in to show that, this is the original one, this is what you have done, and then this is what is remaining, and there may be delays. See, and this is the part that we will start to delay. In tracking Gantt, you will start to see that there is delays. Okay, like this will show you that there is delay. This will show you that there is delays. See? So tracking time it always go with your Gantt chart. So the moment you have your Gantt chart, you show your Gantt chart to your audience, and you show your Gantt chart to your counterparts or your client. This is the commitment that you make. But every month, you will have to key in your tracking. And that will show you whether that particular activity is completed or not. It's every month. So this tracking Gantt will build up as you go along. So it will be like through period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. If your period is month, if your period is days, or your period is week, then we will go by that period. So at every period, we will have a cutoff, okay? Cutoff to show you that where is the activity up to now, okay? Whether you may need more time, you will be plugging it into what we call tracking. There will be time that is a bit faster. If it's faster, you will finish the activity, you will draw the actual completion faster. Like this one is actually faster, you see? Yeah, the actual completion is actually faster. So, but maybe it's faster, but yet we still need some extra time for that because the upper one is not finished. So you may have problems with the lower one as well. So this is what we call tracking Gantt. This is one of the most common method of checking your monitoring. This is project monitoring. And here also we have it's here. Okay. Again, these notes here, this week's notes here, there's a schedule update, schedule baseline, re-baseline, new targets, This is schedule control. Okay. And these are the common technique that we will use for project schedule control. So you have your actual schedule, and then you need to update every month. Okay, so this baseline is something that is approved by everybody. It is used for what we call BS baseline. And this baseline will be used for future measurement of performance. And then after that, you will re-baseline, meaning that if the let's not talk about re-baseline first. Let's talk about monitoring first. So from schedule baseline, you will do monitoring. And from this monitoring, you will, tracking gun is the most common one. You will just punch in your actual and your remaining. And then in the event that, you see that the one delay is actually quite serious, very, very serious, what we can do is we can re-baseline it. So this is the part that re-baseline will come in, meaning that on that point onwards, that line that you draw on that period, that line onwards, you will have to reschedule it, meaning that the old one will probably have to be thrown away. And then if you want to keep it there, you have to recolor it with something else. So maybe on that part there, you need to reschedule everything. And then, especially if extension of time is given, especially if the schedule is really, really very badly delayed, so then you have to redraw the other portion of your schedule. Another thing that we also have is for CPM, we do actually have this is EV. EV is something that we'll talk about when we finish cost management. There is another thing that you can do is you go back to your critical path method. Okay, you go back to your critical path method. On your critical path method, I have a set of notes for it actually, but I don't know where I kept it. I have to go and look for it. Okay, it's like you have a critical path, and then those that you have done, you basically cross it out. And those that you haven't done, or there is some delays to it, you may have to recalculate your critical path. So meaning that there are some that is already done, already, and then over that period of time, you cut it down, and there are some activities that are actually in delays, and that will, especially if it's over the total flow, you need to redraw this is what we call setting new baseline. Okay, so this setting new baseline, re-baselining, there's two things that you can do in re-baselining. Number one is to redo like the other half or the other portion of your Gantt chart, you have to redraw. And the other portion or the other half or the other whatever left of your CPM, you have to recalculate. Okay, and that is what we do re-baselining. This is usually based on agreement with the client. If they let you rebase, if they don't let you rebase, then basically you will be in delay all the time, and that delay at the end of the contract will be penalized with what we call liquidated certain damage. So the consequences is quite big at the end of the day. So especially when we run into some unforeseen delays, something that is really, really not out of control, then re-baselining is very important. You need to renegotiate for re-baselining. Okay. Otherwise, we're generally doing what we call baseline and baseline monitoring, tracking Gantt, and looking back at your CPM to cross out activities that you've done. Tracking Gantt is very, very important. It is very, very powerful, and you should learn how to do it. Control chart is we hardly do that. That one is just a marking on whether that particular month are you ahead of schedule or below schedule. So I don't really use control chart much at all, honestly. But there are people, especially in a factory kind of environment, they can control the time to the every hour and every day kind of thing. So that is whereby they do control chart a little bit more than us. Because our schedule usually go by weeks, minimum is weeks. We hardly go by days actually, and months. And this weeks and month thing, it's just good enough to use control charts. Okay, good enough to use tracking Gantt and CPM tracking. Not so much of this. Okay, but we can, if you want, you can just measure out. This is actually very fast to show. Now, let's say that particular month, you draw that line down, your delay is 6 days. That means you have to do 6 days down here. If your delay is 10 days or you're ahead of schedule 10 days, you go up there 10 days. So basically, we can see overall that, it's a quick show of overall that are you in delay, are you ahead of schedule, or are you behind schedule? This is all project monitoring. And then after you do monitoring, you need to actually control. Control means that you need to bring the schedule back on track. There's no point of doing tracking gun, doing your tracking gun, doing your CPN crossing out, critical path crossing out method, and then doing your control chart. But then at the end of the day, you just lengan kangkong day, and then that's it, finish story. Yeah, monitoring is one thing. Monitoring is month by month monitoring, week by week monitoring. After that, when you can see that obviously there is some delays going on, there's two things. Either you need to bring it back to the original schedule, meaning that you need to put in more resources or talk to the people or find out the root reason for the delays and all that. Then bring it back. That one is bring it back. Otherwise, you'll be continuously having delay. So the next period, when you draw your tracking gun, you have to sort of see some improvement in bringing it back to the original point, okay? The other thing you can do is for controlling is rebaselining now. What I've explained just now, rebaseline it. There's no choice. You have to rebaseline. And that's where you need to come to agreement with everybody on the team that there is a rebaselining. And then the monitoring will be based on rebaselining, okay? So this set of notes here is mainly on the first bit here is more on 87 and above. It's more on time, monitoring time control. That can be used in conjunction with this particular notes here, okay? What you need to do in monitoring, what you need to do in what you need to look out for, what are the factors that causes the schedule change, where are the changes and all that, okay? So this is controlling monitoring schedules. And what tools do we use? We use like control chart, variance analysis, earn value. Like I said, I will talk about it later on in cost management after you learn how to draw S-curve. And then gun chart, control chart, progress report. These are tools that you use, okay? So these two notes here are actually pretty much in conjunction with one another, okay? In conjunction with one another. So it's already been posted in class notes 2 and class notes 1, okay? Here. This and this is actually the back bit of this, and this is actually together. Okay, I mean, like, it's talking about project schedule control, project schedule monitoring. Alrighty, I think that's all I have for today. Any questions? I mean, I am sorry if I got a bit, a bit rude in that sense to scold you a little bit when it comes to the question. I mean, I do not want this to stop you from asking questions, Sometimes for me to scold you, you're better off ask questions, then I scold you, then you really diam and you don't know. You end up not knowing something. And when you not know something, the consequences is you not passing, graduating. So whether I am nice or not, or whether I'm talking nicely to you or not, it doesn't matter. You just have to learn how to take it, okay, in that sense, so that we know where your problems are. Don't let me stop you from asking questions. I'm not asking you to do any question for the fun of it. I am seriously wanting to answer your question. Like just now, even though I do score Danish a little bit, I hope a little bit, but I did explain, didn't I? I did explain again. I did go through it again. And I think other people, everyone did benefit again from my reiteration. So again, free float calculation will be shown in this week's F to F class recording, you see. So again, it will be explained. It has been explained again, reiterate again. So everybody will benefit from it, okay? Any other questions? Please, by all means, just ask. I will do a QR code now, okay? Okay, group one, go ahead. Anything else you want me to ask, want me to clear up for you? So next week we'll be moving into cost management, and then we most likely is we'll finish up with S curve, and maybe even high possibilities will be S curve and also EV, but EV may not be so detailed yet. I will just probably touch on S curve, finish up S curve, touch on EV, and then you will have the invited speakers coming in, and then from there, after he finish, we will talk about EV in a bit more. Okay. After EV, we will be following into quality management, safety management, followed by I think risk management. And after risk management, it will be in construction management. This is like starting of procurement management, following into construction management. Yeah, procurement management, construction management, and contract a little bit at the end of the day. So the next half, you see, the first half, the first 7 weeks with time and cost, we actually do take quite a long time. It is really the essence of a lot of things. And then after that, when we come to the next half of the class, next half of the semester, our running will be a bit faster. So quality management will probably be just one or two class, safety management about one and a half class, and then safety management half a class, and then after that we'll talk about risk management, which is probably 1 to 2 class as well, followed by procurement management, which we'll be talking for it in about total will be about 2 weeks, more or less 2 weeks. Yeah, and then after that, construction management with contract administration. So in procurement, we'll probably be talking about legal and legal issues, legal law in engineering, contract, what is a contract? So from procurement, we move into contract into construction management, contract management, and finish up with dispute. So this whole bunch here at the back will be a bit faster. So you have to attend all the classes, be very fast in catching up, so that because it's going to be fast, you see. So you may, if you don't catch up, then you'll be like, oh, before you know it, we're already in other topics somewhere else already. You see. Okay, Civil 2, go ahead. Any question on the assignment? Any question on the notes today? Any question on people don't know how to do total float, free float, backward pass, forward pass? Like I said, forward pass, backward pass, total float, free float, it should be in recording 1, 2, 3, 4 for last week, Tuesday. And it was reiterated again in week 5, class, Thursday, online, face-to-face. Okay. And this week one is mainly focused on resources leveling, how to do resources leveling, how to do resources moving. Okay, look. Group 3, get ready. Then one more round for group 1, 2, 3. Okay. Group 1. Any more? Group 1. Group 2, any more from Group 2? Any more from Group 3? Group 3, anyone needs manual attendance? Group 2, anyone needs manual attendance? Sorry, wrong. Anyone need manual attendance from Group 2?
68111, Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Anyone else from Group 2 that needs manual attendance? Anyone from Group 1 that needs manual attendance? Anyone from Group 1 that needs manual attendance? Calling 1, calling 2, calling 3. Bye-bye. See you. Go through it over the weekend.